So, good afternoon everyone. This is the continuation of report of Group 9, which is confidence interval, single population mean, standard deviation, unknown student T. So, ano nga ba ito siya? Ang confidence interval, single population mean, standard deviation, unknown student T is they use the sample standard deviation S as an estimate for population standard deviation. Proceeded as before to calculate a confidence interval with close enough results. So, ano nga ba ito siya? Ang confidence interval daw ay ginagamit yung sample standard deviation S bilang estimate nung population standard deviation. So, para makalkula niya yung confidence interval which is close enough sa kanyang resulta. So, here are the properties of confidence interval, single population mean, standard deviation, unknown student T. So, yung iba, babasahin ko na lang kasi hindi nagkasya dun sa visual aid ko. So, the graph for the student T distribution is similar to the standard normal curve. So, ang graph daw nung student T distribution ay walang pinagkaiba dun sa standard normal curve. Yung sa nakasanayan natin na bell curve is walang pinagkaiba yung student T distribution sa normal bell curve. So, second is the mean for the student T distribution is symmetric about 0. So, when you say symmetric, guys, is magkatimbang lang about 0. So, yung normal curve pati student T distribution kaya wala silang pinagkaiba kasi yung student T distribution is symmetric. When you say symmetric is magkatimbang lang. So, third is the student T distribution has more probability in its tails than the standard normal distribution because the spread of the T distribution is greater than the spread of standard normal. So, the graph of student T distribution will be thicker in the tails, shorter in the center than the graph of standard deviation, normal standard deviation. So, ito yung sinasabi niya. Yung student T distribution has more probability than its tails than standard normal distribution. So makikita nyo naman dito sa T-table na ito is marami siyang probability than normal distribution. So, yung normal distribution daw is mas maraming probability yung T-table kaysa sa normal standard deviation. So, because the spread of T distribution is greater than the standard normal distribution, standard normal. So, dito makikita natin yung T-table na maraming probability kaysa sa normal distribution. So makikita nyo naman dyan na yung T distribution is thicker in tails kasi yung tails is two tails, one tail and two tails, and shorter than the center of the graph, the standard than shorter in the center than the graph of the standard normal distribution. So, yan na po siya. Fourth is the exact shape of student T distribution depends on the degrees of freedom. As the degrees of freedom increases, the graph of student T distribution more like a graph of standard normal distribution. So, kapag yung exact shape na daw na sinasabi dito is yung student T distribution ay nagde-depend sa degrees of freedom, which is mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano makuha yung degrees of freedom na sinasabi niya. Yung n-1, yung sample size -1. Yun yung degrees of freedom which is mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo. So, ang student T distribution daw nagde-depend lang sa degrees of freedom na ituturo ko sa inyo mamaya kung paano yun makukuha. So, ang last properties naman ng confidence interval, single population mean, standard deviation unknown student T is the underlying population of individual observation is assumed to be normal distributed with unknown population mean M and unknown population standard deviation O. So the size underlying population is generally relevant unless it is very small. If it is a bell-shaped or normal, then the assumption is met doesn't need discussion. Random sampling is assumed, but it's completely separate assumed from normality. So, ang ibig sabihin dito is yung confidence interval single population mean is yung population mean niya is unknown, which means hindi sinabi dito or hindi binigay dun sa according problem niya. And yung standard deviation O is hindi rin binigay, which is mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano ba ito i-solve or paano gagawin. So, ito na yung notation ng student T distribution. So, the notation of student T distribution is using T as a random variable. So, ito na yung sinabi ko kanina na yung student T distribution is nagre-rely lang sa degrees of freedom, which is ito na. Yung T is degree of freedom where df is n-1. For example, if we have sample size n 20 items, then we calculate the degrees of freedom as df n-1. So, equals to 20 minus 1 equals 19. So, we write the distribution T19. So, yan na yun. Yun yung sinabi ko kanina na yung student T distribution is nagre-rely lang sa degrees of freedom, which is yung sample size minus 1 is equals to 20. So, ito na yung example niya. Yan po. So, ito naman if the population standard deviation is not known, the error-bound population mean is, yan, yung sinabi ko kanina is yung isa sa properties nung confidence interval is yung population standard deviation niya is not known, which is hindi binigay or hindi siya binigay at hindi rin kailangan pa siyang hanapin. So, error bound is for population mean is EBM equals to T x all over 2 x over 2 times S sample standard deviation and the sample size all over N sample size. So, T is Tx all over 2 is the T-score with area with to the right equal to 2x all over 2. So, ito na yung sinabi ko kanina na yung T distribution ay yung T-score naman ay kailangan mong hanapin pag halimbawa nakuha mo na yung sample size niya is kailangan mong hanapin mo naman yung x bar na ito all over 2, which is yung confidence interval niya. Ito, yung 2 all over x all over 2. So, use the degrees of freedom n-1 degrees of freedom. So, samples and S sample standard deviation. Yan na po siya. Para mahanap mo yung error bound population for a population mean. Here is the format on how to get the confidence interval. X minus EBM or X plus EBM. So, kanina, yung EBM or error bound for population mean is pinakita ko kanina yung formula niya. So, para makuha yung confidence interval is you need to subtract the sample mean minus the EBM, and you need to add it by using x bar plus EBM. So, mamaya ipapakita ko kung paano ba makuha yung confidence interval niya. So, here are the sample of confidence interval. So, suppose you do a study of acupuncture to determine how effective it is in relieving pain. You mean sensory rate for subject 15 subjects with the result given below. Use the data to construct 95% confidence interval for the mean century rate for the population from which you took the data. So, ito na yung example niya. So, hahanapin muna natin dito yung mean, yung mean at saka yung sample standard variation niya. So, ito na siya. So, all you have to do para mahanap yung mean niya ay all you have to do is i-add mo lang yung lahat ng data na given. So 8.6 plus 9.4 plus 7.9, 6.8 and so on and so forth. So yung answer niya is 120.4 divided by into the sample size 15. So ang answer niya is 8.2667. 8.2667. So ito na siya. Ito na yung sample mean nyo. So in finding sample standard deviation naman is S is equal to sum of x minus x bar all over 2 n minus 1. So dito na siya. 8.6 minus 8.2267 hanggang sa mabuo nyo siya, yung 15 na yun. So kung mabuo nyo man siya, ganito na lang, 0 all over 2 1 plus, so ito na siya. Then divide this siya into 14. So ang answer niya is ito ang lalabas, 1.6722. So automatic yung sample size niyo is 15. So paano ko nga ba nakuha itong 2.14 na ito? So eto na siya. So yung degrees of freedom na sinasabi ko kanina is 14 kasi 15 minus 1 is 14. So yung confidence level naman niya is ito yung formula na para makuha yung t-table of t student. Yan. Confidence level 0.95. So ito na yun siya. So SA1 minus confidence level. So equals to 1 minus 0.95 is equals to 0.5. Tapos divide mo siya into 2. So ito yung lalabas, 0.25. 0.25. Then pag lumabas yung 0.25 niya, ito na yung alpha x all over 2. So yung degrees of freedom niya naman niya is 14. So hahanapin mo naman siya dito sa table na ito. So degrees of freedom is 14. Ito. Tapos hanapin mo yung 0.25 and 0.5. So ganyan. So yan. Ito na po siya. Yung 2.145. So yun. Sana yun. Ito. Yung 2.145. So ibig sabihin nung nahanap mo na yung 8.2267 and 1.672 yung sample mean, sample standard variation, deviation, and sample size, and also the t student of t table. So ito na yung equation ng error bound for population mean. So t is equal t table t or alpha all over 2 sample standard deviation and all over sample size. So ito na yun, 2.14 close and open parenthesis 1.6722 all over square root of 15. So ang answer niya is 0.924. 0.924. So ito na yung EBM mo or error bound for population mean, yung 0.924. So ito na. para makuha mo yung sample, yung confidence level na sinasabi nila is sample mean minus the EBM. So 8.267 minus 0.9240. So yan na siya, 7.3 yung answer niya. So ito naman, sample mean plus the EBM. So 8.2267 plus 0.9240. So ito ang answer niya, 9.15. Yan. Yan. So so ito na siya. Ito na yung confidence level mo. So yung the 95% confidence interval is is 7 .30 and 9.15. So yan na yung confidence interval mo. So yung second, yung ituturo ko naman sa iyo is yung easy way para makuha yung confidence level na sinasabi ko. So all you have to do is have a TI-83 calculator. So this, wait. So this TI-83 calculator. So all you have to do is find the sample mean, sample standard variation, and the sample size. So pag mahanap mo na yan siya, is all you have to do is press the stat, find test. Yan. So press 8 para sa T interval. Yan, 8. So stat. Yan. And yan. So yan. Yan, 8.267 yung sample mean, 8.267, and sample standard variation 1.6722, and the sample size is 15. So C level, confidence level is 0.95. So calculate it, press enter. Wait lang po. Wait. So press start, test, press 8, or scroll down and enter. So yan na, 8.2267, 1.6722, and 15 the sample size, and confidence level 0.95. Calculate, press enter ulit, enter na naman. No. So yan na siya. The confidence level 7.3007 and 9.1527. So, tingin nyo. Oh, di ba the same lang? Oh. Yung mano-manong paggawa at saka yung easy way para makuha yung confidence interval is magkaparehas lang. So, yun lang po at maraming salamat.